Emily's Live?
Welcome to Emily is Live with me, Emily Dolan Davies. Come and hang out whilst I share my experiences in the music industry. You can ask me questions live and we can get you one step closer to your professional dreams.
Emily's Live!
Hello, is it me you're looking for? How you doing, guys? Welcome to Emily is Live. We are back in the room, and I'm so happy. I keep having these weird daydreams where I accidentally say the old intro of Welcome to Drummer's Guide 2, because I have said it hundreds of times, and this is only episode 9, I think, of Emily is Live. But anyway, I'm just going to say hello to a few people that are in the room. A few people got here early, so we've got Hooked It on Classics. Simone is in, Charlotte Bibby is here, we've got Stuart Coleman, yes, who I am recording for this week, blues song, can't wait. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited about it. And then, who else? Graham Wilmot is here. Hello, Graham. So Graham I worked with last week, who is just, I love Graham so much. His music is awesome, very emotionally evoking and just beautiful. Greg Steen is here. Finally, Craig Steen has made it to one of these live streams, which is brilliant. Matthew North Music is here, who unfortunately has caught the Rona. Matt, we are so sorry to hear that, but hopefully you're okay and you're feeling all right and it's not hit you too hard. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Jake Perrett is here. Now, this is important because Jake Perrett I spoke to, I think it was last week, was it not? Although last time I said this, I said, I think it was a couple of months ago, and you were like, no, it was a year ago. So we did a one-on-one coaching session this week about various things, but part of it was talking about promo shots. And obviously, I'm in the new studio, and I realised, God, I need to do some new promo shots. Also, I had my hair done, so that's part of the reason. And I was like, do you know what? I should film what I do because, okay, so check it out. When I was younger, the first 10 years that I play the drums, and I'm sure that any drummer that is watching this back or listening back will relate to this. Do you have this thing where, or I used to have this, where I would play a gig and, you know, someone might have been taking photos. Now, this might have been just a punter. It may have been a professional photographer, right? Now, for me, there's nothing more exciting than the prospect of someone capturing me playing, performance, with the band that I'm playing with, whatever. And every time I'd have this anticipation, maybe there'll be like an amazing shot and I can use it for promotion. Whee! I tell you what, it never happened. 10 years, and most of the shots I would have a cymbal for a face, generally speaking, which I know that all drummers have had this experience at least once. I've had it many times. Or you'd be so far in the back, there'd be no lighting, so you're just like a shadow, a figure in the background there. Or, you know, the chances are that it just wasn't going to go well for any of us drummers. It's just an occupational hazard, I suppose. So I'm going to share with you the one picture that I had that was half decent, and I will explain to you why, although I loved it, it's so not appropriate for, say, promo shots, for if I want to go on a gig or anything like that. And also the fact that, okay, so bear in mind, right, let me show you this, hold on. I've got this on my shortcuts, but I can't remember which one it is. Right, so this was the only promo shot I had. Okay, I'm going to move over here. I'm sorry if you're listening back and you can't actually see this. I'll try and describe it to you. So this was me at around about, I want to say 19 years old. My hair is pink. It's also long. It's down to just past my shoulders. It's pink, blonde and dark underneath. I'm playing a Pearl export kit and a Spawn snare drum. Now, this picture is great in that it's very dynamic, and I loved it for that reason. However, past the age of 20, how old was I? Oh, I can't even remember. 2011, what was that? 24. I cut all my hair off. So that's not relevant. Don't have long hair anymore. So if I sent that out completely, they would just be like, this isn't the person. Secondly, I was 19. I am not 19 anymore. I'm 34. If I sent that out, they'd be like, catfish. Thirdly, playing a Pearl export kit. Now, there's nothing wrong with a Pearl export kit, but if you're trying to get like, you know, high-end gigs, whatever, this is very obviously a beginner, not a beginner, like an entry-level kind of kit. It looks very 80s with that tom arm there. And yeah, it just didn't fit the purpose. So anyway, so what happened was I went to, I got to, when was it? It would have been in fact, it was just after I cut my hair. So again, when I was about 24, I just thought, I'm going to take this into my own hands. And part of that was recording the Best of You video, which was me wrapped in fairy lights. And I thought, well, if I'm doing that, I may as well just set up a camera and do some promo shots as well, because no one's taking promo shots of me. And even if I got in a photographer to come and do it, I'm so awkward and I get so self-conscious. I mean, honestly, if you've ever seen me in a photo shoot, I'm the what? I just don't know where anything should be. And I just look really discombobulated, really like, just weird, just so weird. And it doesn't matter. To this day, I'm not great at it. Man, some of the cringy photo shoots I've had, it's just awful. And people trying to be very kind, but it's just awful. So anyway, what I decided to do was take it into my own hands. And I've been doing that thing for the last, like I say, since 2011. So the last 10 years. When I've decided, right, I need some new promo shots. That might be because I've got a new haircut. It might be because I've moved studios. It might be any number of reasons. Maybe I want something a little more dynamic. Maybe I want something a little more solemn. I'm the one that's in control and decides, right, I'm going to do this. And I followed the same pattern every time. It's gotten me some amazing, here, I will show you, hold on, if I can. Yeah, so I should have been playing these whilst I've been going, actually. So these are some of the photos that I've gotten from taking matters into my own hands. And these can be live shots as well. They don't even need to be set up in a studio. And I appreciate that not everyone has a space to be doing a photo shoot for themselves. But honestly, you could book a rehearsal room for 2 hours and you could easily get some good shots, as long as you're kind of like doing a few, looking back and just seeing how they go. So all of these I shot, like I say, whether that was a camera set up on stage, because that's another thing you can do, little GoPro in the corner on a time-lapse function, or in a studio, not this studio, but old studios. You can literally get the most brilliant shots and they're yours. You own the copyright as well, which is a whole thing. And, you just don't need to worry about it anymore. So anyway, I went live yesterday on Instagram whilst I was taking these photos to basically show what I was doing. The live stream, I think, was 2 hours long. The whole process of getting these shots was around about 4 hours. But what I decided to do is actually create a video talking you through exactly what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and then you can see the shots afterwards. And I'm just hoping that this will inspire you to, if you're looking to have shots done, if you want better shots of you playing, to show you that you can do it too, and it's totally possible. So, right, with that being said, I'm gonna play this video that I put together yesterday, and then let's talk about it afterwards. Okay, right, hold on. Let's make sure that I actually hit the correct thing. Okay, let's see. Let's talk you through this photo shoot. So first things first, number one rule, be in comfortable clothes when you're setting out, because nobody needs to be restricted. So first of all, I just simply set up some cameras. I have a look at the light that's in the room. I would usually have curtains in my studio, although I don't currently, so I could control the light. So I'm working with the daylight here, which makes things slightly awkward, but at the same time gives a really nice aesthetic, luckily. So I have set up 3 cameras on today's shoot. Usually I just set up one, but I'm trying to be, all good and productive. So the other thing I'm going to mention is that you can have really nice cameras and all that good stuff, but equally using your phone, man, phones are so powerful these days. So there's no problem with having a phone that you're using, or I'm using a GoPro, I'm using 2 Sonys. All you need is something with a time-lapse function. So this is the first outfit, and I make a point to wear things I will not wear on stage. For instance, this one has flappy legs, which means that the bass drum beater gets caught in them. And yes, that does happen. That is my childhood experience, at least. So no stage for you, but perfect for doing on a photo shoot. And that is always my aim, is to sort of wear things that I really like. I think they look cool, but they're just really impractical in reality. So here we go, first take. I'm just playing along to a song that I quite fancy. I think I was playing along to Who Run the World Girls. And I play and then come and check to see what the angles are saying and see how things are looking. Turns out these first angles did not look great. I am not going to lie to you, so I decided to move some stuff around. One of the cameras I just completely got rid of, so we've ended up with just two now. So one Sony, which I'm trying to get over the ride at the moment to get a cool kind of interesting look. I do know that I'm risking my life here because sometimes it likes to focus on the wrong thing. And then a GoPro which has the fisheye, which can give a really nice wide angle, which I always love and I use a hell of a lot on the live shows. I hit go on each camera, I do a second take. I don't think I played to anything on this take. I just thought, let me just play. And sometimes, in all honesty, I don't play at all. I will just hold a pose and I will sort of, I guess, imagine or pretend to play by just wiggling the sticks a lot, and it gives really nice movement, but at the same time you still are in focus, which is a massive deal, and something that I've definitely had to learn the hard way when I've ended up with 400 shots and all of them are out of focus, which is really fun to realise. That's why I decided to keep checking. So this is outfit 2. Again, sorry, completely inappropriate because it has very long sleeves. I love it, it's incredibly flattering, but I cannot play in it properly. Although, in saying that, full disclosure, I did actually wear it when I was recording for The Voice Kids, but the main reason for that was because it was absolutely freezing on stage. So I made it work, and it did work, and it was nice, but I thought, let's actually let this outfit air in the light of day as well. Move the cameras around, different angles, get those shutters going again. Got my GoPro over my floor tom because I know that I can get them in tight in interesting spots where usually for a photographer you can't have a photographer by your ride cymbal. It is not practical, not even slightly, but a GoPro you can get in there pretty nicely. Again, I came to just check that everything was okay and it all seemed fine. So once again, moving cameras around, trying to work out angles. I thought about doing something that was slightly silhouetted and I decided that that might be a good shout. And then it's on to outfit 3, another completely inappropriate for playing, which is a very long sleeved, very flappy armed jumper that reminds me of Steve Jordan on the DVD The Groove Is Here, which I adore. So anyway, doing another take. This time the GoPro is over the tom, it gives an interesting wide angle lens, and I'm also doing some more posed shots at the end, not playing, just to make sure that there's sort of some variation. And then we go on to the actual editing of the photos. So all I do is go into each camera's memory card and I'm basically pretty brutal about what looks good, what looks awful. If something sort of sparks something in me, I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, I'm more likely to keep it. I'll be honest though, on the whole, terrible shots, a lot of out of focus stuff, which is really fun, but yeah, if I get in my head that it could be interesting as a post or social media, it's good. That was the angle there that was silhouette, and it turns out all of it was completely out of focus, so completely unusable. I did sort of try to think maybe I could use it for something interesting, but my brain's going, no, don't even waste your time, because there is a time cost with all of this. So we're going to the GoPro angles, which are really nice. I really enjoy these. I know some people don't like fisheye lenses, but I think they make for such dynamic photos that are so interesting. And again, a photographer cannot get those kinds of angles in my experience, and I think it just makes it super interesting. Then we go on to the editing. So I use an app called Canva. You can get a free version. So yeah, go get that. It's really good. And I make 3 versions. I have a sort of YouTube thumbnail version, which is 1920 by 1080. I have a square version for Instagram, and then I have a vertical version, which is more for stories. And what I'll do is pick out 1 or 2 photos from each angle, if you like, or each outfit and plus angle, and I will create posts. For me, I try to make sure that I highlight all the sort of white colours, all the dark colours, all the black colours, and then also the golden tones. So that's just the aesthetic that I'm going for, so I'm trying to bring that out in each photo. And then it's all about just making it look nice for me, for my eye. You know, at the end of the day, it's subjective, it always will be, but if I like it, then that's a really good start. So I'll move stuff about, I'll see how I can frame it, I'll see sometimes if I can even make it funny maybe, or at least try to make it funny. And then I'll do, like I say, the 3 different versions. Mostly on this lot, I'm doing square versions for Instagram, but there are a couple that are kind of the YouTube thumbnail sizes. And then for the stories, I try to leave space for things like stickers for if I'm asking a question, or doing a poll or something fun like that. And here are the finished photos, at least the ones that I liked and thought were redeemable for this episode. And as I say, if you can control the lighting, then you can get some really interesting and dynamic shots as well. But just work with what you've got, whether that is a phone, as long as it's got a time-lapse function, then just get playing and get some shots together. It does take a bit of time, but in my experience, it is absolutely worth it. And if you're out on tour, stick a camera in the corner, because these are some of the greatest shots I've ever got from playing live. And it is literally my GoPro that is just stuck to a random stand, and with literally a tiny bit of editing, I get these incredible dynamic shots that no other photographer could get. If you need some new promo shots, you can top them up by yourself and never have to rely on anyone else again. So I hope this has inspired you to just get started. That was a whirlwind, wasn't it? Crikey. Right, let's get these ones off. I'm going to just cycle the pictures that I got on that photo shoot, just so you can sort of actually see them a bit of time. Hold on, I'll move over so I'm not being obstructed. So that was essentially 4 hours of doing stuff yesterday, quite intensely, to the point that I probably should have stopped after 2 hours and taken a break, but I didn't, because I get on these trajectories and that's it. But like I say, you don't need expensive equipment. Phones, I found an app, I think it's called Lapsit. It's completely free, and you just set it going every 5 seconds or whatever, take a shot. Even better if it makes a noise, because you can actually hear when you need to change pose if you're posing a shot. I wanted to talk about the posing a shot as well, because I didn't really explain that properly very well on the video, but I've just got some sticks here. So what I mean by, rather than actually playing along, because sometimes if you're playing along, it can be difficult because your camera wants to try and focus, but it can't. So you end up like just with blurry faces, or, but you want some movement in the sticks or in your arms, or it depends what your instrument is, I suppose. But what I meant by posing and sort of moving the sticks to get the movement, but without the face moving, so the face can be in focus, is like, so let's say, oh look, I'm having fun. By the way, always like do poses, facial expressions, the whole thing that match the way that you actually play and actually perform, because otherwise, what's that thing? False advertising, never a good thing, nobody wins. But let's say you're a super happy person when you play, right? So what I would do is, say I want quite a dynamic shot, I'm about to hit a crash or whatever, so rather than actually hitting the crash and it being all like blurry and whatnot, literally hold the pose and then you just shake the sticks as if you're air drumming, essentially, like that, and that will give you the movement of the sticks, but you'll stay in focus. So it's little things like that I've sort of learned over the years that really just helps the situation. And as I say, if you can sort of take things like this into your own hands, then I think it's nothing but a good thing. Plus, it's actually really fun, and you can get really creative with it. Like, there were a bunch of shots that I did when I didn't have anywhere to play, but I managed to set up a kit with, like, it was lit from behind, so it had a silhouette of drums behind me, and then I was just like jumping around and being really silly, but it made for some really interesting shots that I still sometimes use. I haven't used them in ages, actually. I should probably, I can post them on my new Instagram at some point. But let's stop this photo shoot carousel thing, because you've seen enough of that. But anyway, I hope that this helps. Ask me whatever questions you've got, because I love talking about this. I find it really, like I say, creative, and I just really enjoy it. So right, so I'm going to go to the questions in the room in a second, but first I've had some questions in before I went live, so as always I will go to those first. If you want to join in on any of these lives, go to emilyislive.com, sign up, and you can be part of the conversation live, or if you can't be here live, then also go to emilyislive.com and you could submit any questions that you have for me. So this one is related to today's topic. I don't know who it's from, actually, but they said, would it be better to have a film of yourself playing the drums to get work as well as photos from that film? Also, what would you include in a package to promote yourself when looking for drumming jobs? Okay, so two-parter there. So the first bit, what's better, the film of you playing or the photos, or both? Well, I would say variety is the spice of life. So if you can only have I mean, it's always good to have video of you playing. Okay, so there's so much that I could unpack with this. I think video of you playing is gold because it gives a real visual representation of someone playing, and I think video should be sort of like number one. What I'll also say with that, don't neglect the sound of the video. So it might sound awful. It might be just drums, all distorted, horrible. That's fine. Take that audio away, mute it, and record something or overlay something that you've recorded, or just something that is different, that is still related to you in some way. It might even be an artist that you're playing with, and have that as the soundtrack, because it can be really distracting to hear this kind of like gross sound, and a lot of people don't understand that, you know, that is a gig. That is what it sounds like when you've just stuck a camera up. People want to hear nice things, they want to see nice things, and as long as it represents you, then it's great. I mean, don't get me wrong, don't have a video of you playing a ballad and then you've got a heavy metal track underneath. That probably won't work, but you know, just be logical. Like it's not rocket science after all. So yeah, and then if you want to lift a few shots from that, if you can, if your camera is good enough, if the lighting is good enough to lift shots directly, great, do it. But what I will say is that, you know, it might be quite, well, either reframe them. So you change, like, say you're central when you're recording the video, just change it so you're to right or left of the frame, and sort of make it look a little bit different, maybe change the colouring, something like that. But ideally, I'd say get either a separate gig where you've taken some stills, or a completely different shoot, or even the same gig but a different angle will work too. Just have some sort of variety, because otherwise it looks like it's all just, like it's just one show that you've done, and it's a bit weird. I don't know, I think so at least. So yeah, I think film is brilliant, go for that. Photos are pretty essential, really. I think, yeah, so do them. Just even if it's a couple of shots. So from that 4-hour shoot, I had 3 different outfits. I think I ended up with like 24 shots. It's not bad. It's not bad going for 4 hours work. And then the second part of the question was, also, what would you include in a package to promote yourself when looking for drumming jobs? So video, absolutely. Photos, absolutely. If you have audio of you playing, it depends on what the job is, because if it's a recording job, audio is everything. Like, they need to know how you sound, because that's all that matters. If it's a live show, video is key, because they want to know how you perform and what you're going to bring to a live show. And then aside from that, you know, a very short CV, just literal bullet points of your experience or people that you've played with or genres that you play in. You know, again, if it's a recording thing, have a portfolio of like 5 or 6 or even 3 or 4, just different songs that you've recorded in the same sort of vein of whatever job you're going for. If it's live, then just put down your live experience, put down all the skills that you have, whether that's, you know, obviously say it's me, drummer, plays a bit of percussion, backing vocals, not really, but maybe you do backing vocals, then put that down, can read music, electronics, can run playback, and then list, you know, Ableton, Logic, HD24, you know, whatever, QLab, whatever things that you can use for playback. So basically you just want to showcase yourself and what you can bring to a gig. How can you help that other person? That's what I would say. But make sure it's in very short form, very digestible bullet points, or making the key points bold or something like that, just to showcase what, like I say, what you can offer to a gig. So I hope that helps in some way. I'm not sure. Okay, so second question came from Drummers World 1972. I know you can't be here usually, but thank you for the question. Who said, how do you manage neighbours and noise? So at the moment, I'm very lucky. Obviously, I have a studio, it's soundproof, it's purpose-built. I am the luckiest of the most lucky people in all of Lucky Land. But it hasn't always been this way. So growing up, I didn't have a drum kit to play on at all up until the age of, I want to say like 14, and then it was an electronic kit. And And then it was an acoustic kit, but it had silencers on it. So I'd say in terms of neighbours, just open up a dialogue. I had a funny story. So when we moved to our last house, initially before the studio got built out, I had to practice for an artist I was working with, Rosie Lowe. And I was terrified because I was like, we've literally just moved into this house. We have brand new neighbours and I'm about to start practicing. I'm a drummer. They're going to hear it. They're going to hate me. So I went round to the neighbours before anything. And I knocked on their door with a little bit of paper with my email address, my number. And it was almost like going around and saying that I was a sex offender. It was that kind of like awkward and horrible, and I was like, oh hi, so we've just moved in next door, but I thought that I should let you know, I'm actually a drummer. And you could see their faces like, oh god. And I was like, look, I'm only gonna practice, I've got to do a bit of practice, but it's only gonna be like a couple of hours a day. It's gonna be in the middle of the day. I'll make sure that it's not past X, not before Y. And I just was very open, and I said, look, if there is any problem, if you ever are just like, no, too much, just stop. Just text me, email me, call me, and I will absolutely, because at the end of the day, my number one concern is that you're okay, like you guys are fine. And that worked really, really well. If, however, your neighbours aren't that great, which that's happened to me too, rent a room. That's what I would do. So I was living in a place I was living in various places for about 3 years where I wasn't able to practice, but I was out on tour. I was needing to, have a space. So I found this rehearsal room. It was around about an hour's drive from me, but they offered some crazy package. Like if you were there midweek during the day, you could get a studio for, I think it was like 10 till 4, and it was something crazy, like £5. It was something insane, but it was because I searched it out. I sort of got to know the guys, and I was like, look, can I come in? And yeah, great. And that really, really helped. So I think it's just working within your means. There will always be something, I think, that will hinder what you're trying to do. But as long as you're sort of respectful, find a way around it, then it's kind of fine. So I'm very lucky at the moment with the neighbours and noise situation. So I hope that that's helped you drum as well. 1972, and hopefully, let's see. And then the last question I've had before I came live was there a turning point in your mindset going from hobbyist to semi-pro to pro/full-time? So hobbyist to semi-pro, I think the only change from hobbyist to semi-pro was deciding, just going, I'm doing this. And that was when I was 14. So I'd been playing for 3 years and I'd been circling around the idea, but at 14 I dedicated myself. I was like, no, this is what I do. And it wasn't a negotiable. It was like, no, it's not about if I can do this, it's how I'm going to do it and when, and I've just got to do the work. And I knew that, and it was just like, right, let's go. In terms of turning from semi-pro to pro or full-time, yes, I suppose the change was just getting so proactive and just taking really uncomfortable action, basically. So up until I was, again, around about 2011, so 10 years into my playing, I should say, I was in bands. I was playing around London, like loads. I was doing rehearsals all the time. I was just on the cover circuit. I was just sort of like doing that a lot. I'd been doing bits and bobs. But there were things that I was kind of avoiding. And then I was coming up with reasons that things weren't happening for me. So annoying. I annoy myself. So annoying. And I would make excuses, this is the reason I'm not getting that, this is the reason I'm not that successful, this is the reason I can't do this, can't do that. Moan. So boring. Nobody cares. Emily, nobody cares. So I decided to just actually do the things that I knew would move the needle, but would make me feel very vulnerable. And that the first thing that I did, that is the discernible moment that things changed for me, was recording that Foo Fighters' Best of You YouTube video wrapped in fairy lights. I can't tell you how vulnerable I felt going into that, releasing that, how much I was just like, oh my God, everyone's going to hate it. Everyone's going to hate me. No one's going to call me. Everyone's going to realise how rubbish I am as a drummer. Like all the worst things you could think of yourself. That was what I was thinking. I was like, oh my God, it's just going to be the most awful thing in the world. My whole world's going to end and, no one's ever going to call ever again. And absolute reverse happened, and it gave me the confidence to then keep going and actually start creating the career that I wanted versus waiting for someone else to call me. And I think taking control like that just totally turned everything around for me. So yeah, I think that's the mindset, the shift. And then from there, my confidence just grew in what was possible. And then it was, opening up my own studio. My God, when I tell you that was never on the table for me, especially around the age of that sort of age 23, 24. If you'd have told me that 10 years later, I'd be sat here right now in a studio recording for people and just doing it all remotely with this beautiful outlook and all these wonderful people chatting to online live, you would have been like, nah, you're joking. Like, that's the biggest joke in all the world. But I tell you what, if you can find a way to just, I guess, affect your own fate, be proactive, take action, and it's going to be uncomfortable. But the more that you take uncomfortable action, the more comfortable it becomes, and there's definitely power in that. And then find the next uncomfortable action and then take that and see what happens, because weird stuff happens. I'm living proof that the weirdest stuff can happen sometimes. So anyway, sorry, that was a bit of a long ramble. That was not intended. Right, let's go live to the room. Again, if you want to be part of this conversation live, go to emilyislive.com, ask me any question that you want, or if you want to actually be in the room, then you'll get a link 15 minutes before I go live every week, and a little blurb on what I'll be talking about. So as you can tell, it can literally be anything. So let's see who else in the room. Zalster is here. Hello, Michael. How are you? He says, I don't care for daylight savings time. Lol. So Zalster is in, I want to say San Antonio, Texas. Have I made that up? Or is that something in the back of my brain that's actually working for once? I'm not sure. But anyway, Zalster, hello. It's lovely to see you in, and I'm sorry that, and I'm going early. I'm earlier than usual as well, so I double apologise. I don't know why I'm apologising for daylight savings. I don't think that one's my fault, but the going on earlier it definitely is. Graham Wilmot is saying, going to have to leave before the end of this one. Hopefully I'll get to see Em's photography ideas first, though. Yeah, I hope you managed to see all that rambling. It was, crazy. Zalster is saying, good day to everyone, and sorry to hear that Matt has caught the horrible Rona, although I think he was saying that it's actually quite mild, so thank goodness for that. Joe Perkins is here, woohoo! Working on some stems for you. So me and Joe are working together this week as well on, I want to say Thursday. Joe, have I got that right? It's either Wednesday or Thursday. Oh, I can't. I did look at my diary this morning, but I've done a poor job. Again, Joe Perkins, amazing guitarist. Joe, I was talking to someone over email last week, and we were talking about, and I can't remember who it was, talking about how brilliant your guitar tones are and how much we appreciate you, and the fact that you sent me a rough demo to listen to for this recording this week. The tones were so good and the recording was so good, and you were like, oh no, it will be better. Dude, you're awesome. You are awesome. If anyone wants to hear, so Joe also does a lot of testing of different guitar pedals on his YouTube channel, so go check him out. He's amazing. We love Joe. So Graham Wilmot is saying to Matthew North, sympathies, hope it's a mild one and doesn't hang around. Simone says, nice haircut. Thank you. It's by Vince Bavetta of Tony and Guy in Enfield, who is the only person who has cut my hair since 2011, and I love him dearly. And then the colour was done by a lady called Lisa, also from Enfield. Right. Sorry, I'm such an idiot. Jake Barrett says, yes, I thought the subject sounded familiar. Yeah, so Jake, it just made me realise how, I don't know, just it's such a simple concept, taking your own photos, and it's not that hard, really. Honestly, I'm an idiot, and if I can do it, I'm pretty sure anyone can do it. it does just take a bit of time and a bit of messing around. And if you can enjoy the process of just being quite creative, like, oh, that looks interesting, obviously that's going to help. You might hate it. If you hate it, you can still, just muddle on through and you'll get something. And it's really interesting having an awareness of what you look like when you're playing, the shapes, the facial expressions. I think anything like that, understanding your performance better, is great for going for jobs, especially if it's live or performance related. Maybe it's something to do with video. But I found it invaluable. I really have. Arno is here. Hello, Arno. Lovely to see you. Yes, I made it. I had some Wi-Fi issues, missed the last 2 or 3 lives, but I'm here. We are so happy to have you, Arno. So happy to have you. Graham is saying, loving the hair. Thank you very much, Graham. And Donnie Vick is here. Hello, Donnie. How are you? So Donnie is an amazing guitarist. She also is an amazing producer. We both worked together on Sophie Mahon's latest release, which is amazing. And so one of her tracks, called Soldier and the Wildcat, ended up having 60 tracks of drums because I just couldn't help myself with overdubs. It's like 2 full-on, oh no, is it 3? Maybe it's 3 full-on kits, and then so much percussion and like sounds and almost Foley type stuff. It was so fun. And actually it was one of the last things I recorded at the first studio. So yeah, lovely to have you, Donnie. It's lovely to see you. Matthew North says, I'm lucky. Oh, crikey, sorry, my page just jumped. So that Matthew, who has just caught the coronavirus, unfortunately, I'm lucky it's mild. I'm just worried about the people I've been around. Oh yeah, with my gig last week, but touch wood, they're okay. Yes, it's funny. I just spat. Sorry about that. I was just thinking, you had like 3 gigs, wasn't it, last week? Or 2 gigs? And I think one of them was at Ronnie's. Did I make that up? How were they? Aside from catching coronavirus, not ideal. Bit of a, downer. What's the opposite of a silver lining? It's like a non-silver lining at all. Like a copper lining to your week. But how was the gig, aside from catching corona? Arno says, looking good, Emily. Thank you, Arno. You're very kind. Fernando Riviera Neto. Hey, Emily. I'm on work and can't follow the live stream, but I'll take a listen ASAP. Thank you so much for your insights. Fernando, thank you for your support. You're a wonderful person. I really must apologise, and thank you if you stuck out this far and you're on the audio podcast version of this, not watching the video. I will also go watch the YouTube so you can see the visuals, but I did try to at least describe stuff so that it would make sense, but I'm not sure I did a great job. So I apologise, but come and look at the YouTube so you can actually see all the photos and stuff. So Simone says, that's a fab photo though, the one with the fairy lights. Oh, thank you. Like I say, I want to say that was the first ever shoot that I did, photo shoot, along with the videos. Like afterwards, I was like, right, in my head, it was like, I should take photos to promote the video. That was my thinking. I'm pretty sure I'd done like a couple of just, like profile shots before, like maybe a couple of weeks prior, just messing around really. But yeah, that, like I say, that one day I feel like was such a pivotal moment in my career and, in a wider sense in my life. So, I'm sure many people have heard me say this. The reason that I did that video was basically because my sister made me. So I'm eternally grateful to Hannah for just giving me that push. She often gives me that push, actually, where I'm sort of like teetering on the edge of an idea or something, or maybe not teetering at all, maybe not even seeing the idea. And she's like, you should go do this. This would be a really good thing. That would look really cool. That would be interesting. And often she is correct. It's very annoying. No, I'm joking. It's great. It's amazing. Jed Kenyon is here. Hello, Jed. How are you? Afternoon. Oh, just checking in and saying hi to you all. Catch up soon. Have a great stream, Emily. Take care, everyone. Thank you for popping in, Jed. It's lovely to see you on here. Zalster says, so which GoPro are you using? Well, I was going to get them out. There's no point. So I'm currently, today I was using a GoPro 4. And the newer one that I've got, which is amazing, is the GoPro 8. But when I started out, I think I was using a 1 or a 2. I don't have it anymore, actually. I don't know where it went. I'm not one that throws things away, ever. Well, very rarely. and I don't know where that is. But that Hero 8 is pretty spectacular. I did look at the new one that's come out because there was something really interesting about it that I thought would be really good, but can't remember what it was, so it couldn't have been that good, which is great because I didn't buy it. So the GoPro 8 is kind of the one that I'm using at the moment if I get the chance. The thing that I like the most about the GoPros is they work really well in low light, which is perfect, obviously, for live shows, basically. And they're really good with dealing with motion. Obviously, it's kind of what they do. So, a lot of the stuff is very in focus. The downside is, the reason that I have a GoPro and a Sony is that the Sony, although for its faults sometimes does focus on the wrong thing, when you get the right thing in focus, there's a lot of depth to it, which is really nice, like when you get that sort of blurring of the background or maybe something in the foreground. So it's just a really different aesthetic. So I like that. I like the fact that you can get two very different looks from two different cameras, obviously. I'm starting to get very warm. Am I good? I think. Oh. Anyway, so Kevin Siegel. Hello, Kevin. How are you? Are you well? Good morning, everyone. Just after 7 a.m. in the Eastern USA. Oh, my goodness. That is crazy. Thank you for joining us, Kevin. You and Zalster. And it's 6 a.m. where Zalster is. You are mad, but we love you for it. So we're so glad to have you here. And Kevin says, I agree, Zalster. I'm no fan at all. This is of daylight savings. Yes, I've got to say, I am a fan at the moment because I have to do a call on Wednesday, is it? Or Thursday? I say have to. No, I get to. I get to do this call on Wednesday or Thursday, and we're only 4 hours time difference at the moment, which is brilliant. So it means I can get it done earlier in my day. Oh, so happy. So Simone says, don't forget to smash the like, guys. Oh, thank you, Simone. You are my resident reminder for things like that. Yeah, if you're enjoying this on YouTube right now or on the podcast, like it, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. It all helps me to get the word out and more information. I'm being very handsy today, aren't I? Right, Jake Perrette says, any recommendations for a camera that won't break the bank? Secondhand GoPro, which one, or any good knockoffs? I don't know about the knockoffs, but I do hear that they're very good. In terms of, the GoPro 4 is really great. It's got a screen, which was the difference from the one for me. So the one never had a screen. You just kind of had to take your life in your hands with it. But the 4 is good, and everyone that comes out, obviously the price gets cheaper of the older ones. So that's great. And then the Sony. What is the Sony though? I can never remember. Oh, actually, it's what I'm filming on right now. What is it? A Z. I should know this. Oh. Is it a ZS100 or something? I don't know. It's the Zeiss. These are things I should know. Anyway, it's, hold on. Right, I'm so sorry. This is so, oh, there we go. Oh no, that's a different one. Hold on. I'm going to tell you for sure. This is, oh, that's it. A DSC RX100. These are expensive. There are about 8 different versions of it. This one is the one. This is the first one that ever came out. You could probably, I don't know how much you can pick these up for now. I think they're like 200 quid. But the newest version is like 1,200 quid. It's crazy, the difference. Like the Mark 8 or whatever it is. I don't even know. I don't have one. Yeah, they're brilliant. They're really, like I say, this is a version, this camera that I'm filming on right now is a version of that. It's the newer one that is kind of more geared towards vlogs and podcasting and stuff like that. So yeah, it does the nice slight blurring of the background, which is, I quite like. I don't know. But yeah, GoPros, the 4 is brilliant. 4 is great. If you can go a bit higher, that's great too. They all work. Like, I think it's just finding things that work. But like I say, you can use your phone. You don't even need to use any specialist crazy equipment. So Matthew North says, Jake Perrette, yes. Oh yeah, the Zoom Q2N. Excellent audio, and the camera is pretty good too. It's basically a field recorder with video tacked on, but does the job, especially in good light and not very expensive. I think I used to have, I don't know which one it was actually, maybe it wasn't the Q2N. I love Zoom products. So one of the first USB mic recorders that I have that was standalone was the H2N. Loved that. wore it to death to the point that it fell apart because I used it daily, hourly. It was so good. I love it so much. So I love Zoom stuff, but I did get, I want to say it is the Q2N, but I tell you what it was. I was using it for streaming, and the quality for streaming is not great. But I spoke to them and they said, yeah, so the streaming quality isn't as good as the recorded video, if that makes sense. So yeah, maybe look into that as well. So Donny Vic says, so how did you get from doing the videos like the Foo Fighters cover to getting gigs such as Kim Wilde? Did you approach them or did they approach you? Okay, so, well, the Kim Wilde gig was slightly bizarre. So how did I go from doing Foo Fighters videos? Basically, the difference was I was getting like recommended for gigs a lot. Well, not a lot, a bit. A few people were. Now, that's great. And someone saying, oh, Emily would be great for that is brilliant. And I might get a phone call. Brilliant. Let's have a chat. Awesome. Yeah. Say all the right stuff, whatever. I can say all the stuff that I want. I can say all the gigs that I've done. I can say all the experience I have. But if there's not a representation of me that someone can visually see or audibly hear, there's only so far that recommendation can go. There's only so far that someone will put their reputation on the line to bring me in on the off chance that it would work. Basically, that kind of limited me to the people that I had played with. And I still am big advocate of getting out there and playing with as many people as you can. I've always done that. I've always been in multiple bands. I'm always, doing gigs everywhere and, dep drummer for all sorts of stuff. But if you do something like, even if it's a covers video, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, if you put something out there, your reach just goes so much further than your immediate network. And if someone does recommend you, there's a reference point. So someone can say, Emily would be great for that. Here, check her out here. Someone can watch the video, make a decision for themselves, and there you go. Now you've got two people thinking you might be good for this job. So that was kind of the difference. In terms of the different gigs, I mean, every gig has come around in a different way. Even to the point sometimes I don't even know. Tricky, when I played with Tricky, me and the musical director to this day still have no idea how I ended up on that gig. He has no idea where he got my number from. I remember getting the phone call, but we couldn't work out any mutual friends. It's just one of these very strange gigs. So when was that? That was 2011. Gigs like, for instance, Cher Lloyd, I got that through a recommendation. So one of my best friends, Charisse Osei, she's a drummer as well. She had been working with a keys player on Mika, and he was MDing Cher Lloyd. And Charisse says, well, why don't you get Emily? She'd be perfect. He watched the video, he went, yeah, that's perfect. That would be a really great fit. Got me in for audition. It all worked out really nicely. Ended up playing with Cher Lloyd for a year. After that, 2014, Thompson Twins. That was because the drummer who last did a Thompson Twins gig, a wonderful man named Jeff Dugmore, that was back in 87, was the last gig he did with him. Tom wanted him to do the next tour that he did, 30 years later or whatever. Jeff wasn't around, but Jeff's a friend of mine. And Jeff was like, well, why don't you check out Emily? Again, Tom and his manager saw some stuff online. I was like, oh yeah, that might be cool. Let's get her in for it. Well, it was actually just a chat. It wasn't even audition. The first time I played with Tom was in the rehearsal room with Tom, and I was like, okay, I mean, that's fine. And in terms of Kim Wilde, so this was weird. Well, you know this, Dawn. So Kim Wilde has two drummers, so it's me and Jonathan Atkinson. Jonathan Atkinson has been with Kim for 15 years. He's amazing. I love him. Again, one of my best friends. And he couldn't do one show. And at that time, we were playing on Howard Jones together. So he said to me in a random, gig in the middle of the States somewhere, said, by the way, I can't do the show with Kim. Could you cover it for me? And I was like, yeah, great. I kind of knew a couple of the guys from the band. And I was like, yeah, that would be really fun. Anyway, went and did the show, had a great time, really fun, great bunch, loved it. And in the bar after this show, as a joke, so Kim was like, oh, I really enjoyed playing with you. As a joke, I said, you'll just have to have two drummers now. And she went, that's a great idea. Let's have 2 drummers. And her sound engineer was next to her, and he just looked at me and was like, I hate you. And I was like, I love you, thanks, Shawnee. So, things just come about in really random ways. But if you have that point of reference that someone can look for themselves, same with the darkness. We had a few mutual friends, a few different people that said, why don't you get Emily? That would be a really good, match. They then saw the video on YouTube of me wrapped in fairy lights and went, yeah, we want her. That's brilliant. Let's do that. So I guess it's almost like social proof. It's just showing people what you do on your own platform. That's how I see social media. It's kind of like having your own marketing platform. You get to do with it what you will. It's amazing and it's so powerful. Even doing stuff like this. This is not drumming, obviously, but people get to see my personality. Some people really like it. Some people really hate it. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. But what it means is people are more likely to reach out for recordings, drumming recordings, or going on tour, or even down to just doing interviews or something like that. In fact, so a big part of the reason that I was involved in Count Me In was because one of the producers, who I've known for a long time, but she saw that I was doing these to camera pieces, and she was like, why don't you come and do this interview? You'd be perfect for it, because I can talk fairly comfortably on screen, I suppose it is, on camera, that's what I mean. So, it's just funny how things come about. But I think if you just put lots of little things out there, then it's like sowing lots of little seeds. Some of them won't take. Some of them never do. But other ones sort of either will keep coming back year after year, like that video of me and the Foo Fighters, or it will be a one and done. One person will see it and it'll make all the difference. And then it will never be seen again, or it won't make a difference. But yeah, I think, I can't even remember what your original question was, Dawdy. Oh, it was just basically, how did I get all those gigs? So sorry, that was very, very long and rambly, but I hope that it gives you some insight into how that sort of the cogs in the machine work, if that makes sense. So Kevin is saying, I know you're not a gearhead. See, you know me, Kevin, but I need the details of that beautiful purple sparkle snare drum on your kit. I also have a purple sparkle snare drum that I built. It's an American cherry stave drum. Well, that sounds amazing. Do you know what? You're the second person this week, Kevin, to ask me about this snare drum, and I'm embarrassed to say. So here's what I can tell you. It is a Drum Supply snare drum. It's 14 by 6.5 in size. It has a purple sparkle wrap, but past that, I have no idea. It was a gift from my husband and I love it, and it just sounds amazing. It sounds amazing in the studio. It sounds amazing live. It's just one of those really versatile drums, and usually it's wood as well. I say that because usually I like metal drums. I just prefer, it's just my experience. I've just used a lot of metal drums, so I understand how to manipulate them and get the sound that I want. But this drum is I love it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, it's a Drum Supply snare drum. They're based in Nashville. That's all I can tell you. And I love it. That's all I can tell you. So Jake Brett says to Matt North, yes, I've got the Zoom Q2N. It's great. I realised my question wasn't clear. I mean something for taking time-lapse stills. Annoyingly, the Zoom doesn't do stills. Oh yes, Jake, that's true. We worked this out, or you told me this on our call the other day. So yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, the GoPro is really... It's an excellent all-rounder, I would say, the GoPro. Go for the 4. Joe Perkins says Wednesday, I think. Yes, but Thursday will be okay too. Oh no, Joe, you're in my diary. It's just I can't remember my diary right now. All I can think about is this live stream, so it's all good. Glad you like the guitar tones. I've got a fun one planned for the intro of this new track. Oh yeah. I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't wait. I literally can't wait. Craig Steen says, got to fly to Scotland for a gig this week. Any tips on how you pack a full set of breakables into one EasyJet hand luggage, I think. I'm just using a Samsonite case, cymbals under 20 inches, so they fit in. Well, who knew? Right, any tips for how you pack a full set of breakables? Oh, breakables! Well, hand luggage, eh? It's a bit rough, isn't it? That's a bit rough. If you could... no. No, not really. I've packed breakables into checked luggage. That's kind of fine, but very small snare drum, very thin snare drum. If you can get one of those backpack ones and try and blag it or give it to someone else to wear on their back, that would help. Are you bringing a kick drum pedal? Because if you are, get that out. Just deal with whatever's there. Scary. Yeah, no. Oh, I'll tell you what, another really good thing. Have you seen those very small Vic Firth stick bags? So they're in conjunction with Mike Dolbear. They're literally about, what's that? 10 centimetres, 10 centimetres wide. And they're great. You can pack about 4 pairs of sticks in there. They're really good for things like that. But yeah, past that, no, not a clue. But I'd really like to see a picture of how you end up packing that. Matthew says to Jake, gotcha. I'm guessing for a time lapse, a more traditional digital stills camera of some sort. Yeah, like I say, a GoPro works great for stills, and the Sony does do stills, but you have to download a second application, which is really annoying. Or at least you did on the old ones. Maybe on the new ones you don't have to, but it is worth it. It is worth it. Nathan Drums is here. Hello, Nathan. How are you? Are you keeping well? That was your fault that I did that live stream the other day. No, I'm joking. Thank you for your lovely input. So it was kind of doing the live stream in real time of me doing all that photograph stuff. Nathan kind of suggested it, and I was like, do you know what? Maybe I will do like a fly on the wall live stream. So I'm not interacting like this, but you can see what's happening and what's going on. So I'm not sure if it's beneficial. I'm not sure. I think being engaging is a better use of everyone's time, mine and yours, to be honest. Chris Pound is here. Hello, Chris. Hi, Emily. Good to see you again. I'm travelling from Kent to Yorkshire, so listening in, not watching. Chris, I apologise. You probably, I'm talking all about these pictures and videos and look at this and look at that, and you're going, can't see anything, but just keep driving. It's all good. I hope it's not too long of a drive. That's a bit of a schlep. What's that, 5 hours maybe? Charlotte Bibby says, earlier time is good for me. It means I can always watch whilst doing some work before lessons later. I'm so glad, Charlotte. To be fair, I think earlier works better for me too, because when I've been doing these later on in the day, I finish and I literally am like I'm so exhausted. I can't even tell you. So it's just not ideal, I don't think. I like this. I like that slightly earlier. So Matthew says, I played a warm-up gig with Mike Westbrook, that's right, locally, and the gig was amazing. The next gig is Pizza Express Jazz Cafe. That's right. Fingers crossed nobody else has it and the gig will go ahead. That's what I was thinking. It wasn't Ronnie's, it was Pizza Express, because, yeah, it's Dean Street, right? Which is that where Ronnie's is? Or it's like the next street? Ronnie's? Dean Street? Yes. I don't know. I know where it is to see it, but anyway. Charlotte Bibby says, great podcast. Oh, thank you, Charlotte. You're very, very kind, as always. You're always too kind. Zalsta says, Q2N is interesting. On the webpage, GoPro 10. Zalsta, I feel like these are notes that you're writing. Hold on. Right. Q2N is interesting. Oh, on the webpage. Right. He's on the webpage right now to have a look. So Zalsta says, GoPro 10, sound has issue unless you use the kit with the modify mic. Multiple lights like a concert can overwhelm the camera and get blur or one light overtone. Zalsta, thank you for this insight. I'm so glad I didn't buy it now. I must say, I don't use GoPro for any audio, ever. Ever. It's purely for the visual. But the brilliant thing about the GoPro, at least with the 8, so the 8 I've been using most recently on the Kim Wilde gigs, and especially 2018, 2019, we had the most incredible lighting directors ever. What this meant was, so usually when I'm the one that has to set up the lights and try and make it look half decent and I don't know what I'm doing, I've got a professional who's lighting the whole show and ends up lighting me up like just the most amazing, professional, dynamic looking lighting, and I'm just striking poses essentially whilst I'm playing. I'm just playing, and very dynamically, obviously, and I don't mean like quietly or loudly. I mean like with big movement. So yeah, John Davis, you are a legend. You are a legend amongst men. So yeah, thank you though, Zalsta. That's really good insight about the 10. So maybe hold off on the 10. I love the 8. If you're looking for a better price point, the 4 works great. Or there are some like not knockoff versions, but copy versions. They're meant to be brilliant too. So yeah, just go research and do some stuff. A lot of people have like they put stuff online of what video, what photos they've taken with them. So just look that up. I feel like, in fact, Instagram probably would be a great one if you just search for hashtag GoPro 2 or GoPro 4 or whatever and just see what comes up. Interesting. Donnie Vic says, loving all the photos. Thank you, Donnie. I haven't. Oh yeah, okay, I was just checking that they're not still going on a slideshow, because that's the kind of thing I would do. Ali's here. Hello, Ali. How are you? Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late joining. It's lovely to have you as always, Ali. Matthew says, I was going to get a compact Sony like that, but it didn't have a viewfinder, so I got the Panasonic Lumix TZ90 as a pocket camera. Wasn't cheap, about 450 quid. Yeah, so I thought that getting a camera like this one would be super, not cheap, but cheaper than it was, especially at the time. I got that a long time ago. I've had this camera a long time. It is expensive, but it is a great investment if you use it, obviously. There was something else. That's the other thing. I think it's about just finding equipment, and this goes for cameras, this goes for microphones, this goes for drums, this goes for everything, electronics, playback, doors, anything, not doors that you open, DAWs, digital audio workstations. Find something that works for what you need it to do. So my criteria for a camera was always works in low lighting. In fact, that was it. That was my first criteria. Must work in low lighting. That's what got me onto the Sony. Then I realised the Sony, by design, did not have a time-lapse function. Luckily, they had an app, so it was fine. So the next one was, something that works well in low light and has a time-lapse function. So that was the GoPro. That was amazing. The next one was having something that I could plug in, so I didn't need to rely on a battery for it to run out, because sometimes, I don't know if it's me, the 8 is good, you can put it onto a mains, but a lot of these cameras you can't. So that was like the next criteria for the next camera, and each one just gets a little bit better and a little bit better. So just work out what you need it to do and then find the camera. So another thing, fun thing that I found out about why I needed a different camera, this one in specific that I'm talking to right now, this other Sony, which is not an RX100, is that the RX100, the batteries would overheat and it would just stop. After about 25 minutes, the viewfinder, the lens would close, and that was it, game over, you're done. And it doesn't matter what it's doing. Whereas this new one, it doesn't overheat as much, so you can go for longer. Granted, sometimes I get it wrong and sometimes it does close, and that's for other reasons, but that's user error. That is not actually the camera's problem. So I hope that helps in some way. Simone says, I have a GoPro Hero 4 and it is really good, but it does get quite hot. Yeah, some of them do. I also bought a Goodman's Action Cam from B&M. From a recommendation. It's surprisingly good with a 1080p resolution. See, there you go. So a Goodman's Action Cam is a suggestion. I think there's so many different things around anyway, so I guess that's part of the problem. You kind of don't know what you want to get. Matthew says, I still use my H2N. That's awesome, Matthew. I'm glad that yours has survived. I think I ended up buying a H4N? What am I talking about? H4N. I'm looking over there because I'm pretty sure it's in that drawer, but I'm not going to go and roam around for it because that is going to not do anyone any favours. Simone says, I also have a Sony A3000 DSLR. It never lets me down. DSLRs scare the hell out of me. As soon as you start disconnecting lenses and stuff, I freak out. So I can't. It's too much for me. That's my line. That's my line of comprehension and understanding without going down the rabbit hole of things like lenses, which I'm sure is a wonderful place, but I have enough rabbit holes that I have to kind of just pretend aren't there with drums and mics and preamps and all of that. So I don't need any more rabbit holes to be falling down. So Matthew says, my main video camera is a Sony NX100, but that was well pricey, but it's fab. Yeah, I do find you often do get what you pay for. I will say that with cameras. It's interesting because there's a lot of things in life that isn't the case, or very rarely. But one for one, it's pretty, from my experience at least, pretty spot on. What you get is what you pay for. Simone says, Kim Wilde is awesome. Yes, she is. She's awesome. The band are awesome. Oh, I can't wait to be back on tour with them next year. It's going to be so fun. Jake Pratt says, thanks for all the camera recommendations, everyone. Amazing. There you go, Jake. All sorted. Dawny Vic says, thanks so much for answering my question, Emily. Awesome. That is really helpful. Awesome. That is really helpful. I'm glad. Looks like I'm going to be doing lots of videos. Dawn, you are doing videos. I've seen your videos of you shredding. Like, I love it. It's amazing. But yeah, you're right. If you do more, then it's just more visibility, isn't it? It's just a thing. We'll be using these photo tips too. Yeah, do it. Do it. Totally. Just find some cool angles and just, strike some poses and go for it. Craig Steen says, sorry, meant checked luggage. Yep, pedal too. Oh, checked luggage? Oh yeah, oh that's fine. Towels, lots of towels, or wrap the drums in clothes. If you really want to be extra, if you take it, I assume you're taking a snare drum, take the head off and pack stuff in there. Clean it out first, because I don't know about you, but some of the insides of my snare drums are mean. So yeah, you can pack some of the stuff in there too. So maybe you could do like open up the head of the snare drum, put a towel around the middle, stick your pedal in there. Maybe would that fit? Potentially, maybe, or bits. Yeah. Oh, that shouldn't be too difficult. I've packed a lot more than a few breakables in a case before. Matthew North says Pizza Express is up past Exeter somewhere. Oh right, yeah, Dean Street, I think. Oh yeah, sorry, it's me being completely ignorant, thinking that the only jazz Pizza Express is the one that's on Dean Street. I apologise, Matthew. I'm an idiot. Arno says, I love this live stream full of enthusiasm and positivity. I'm losing my voice, though. Keep doing this, but don't forget to breathe every now and again. I know, you're right. Arno, thank you. Let's all breathe together for a second. Okay. And relax. Sergey's here. Hello, Sergey. How are you? You're a fairly new person to the situation. I know we have spoken over email, and it was lovely to get an email from you. So, hello. And I think you're doing stuff with Drum Stem Club. There's a little bell in my brain saying that you've been using the multi-tracks. If anyone that doesn't know, Drum Stem Club is free drum multi-tracks for anyone that wants to use them. That can be producers, songwriters, singers, musicians. If you want to release them, you can. They're 100% free. You can mess with them, you can edit them, you can do whatever you want. If you go to drumstemclub.com, all I ask is to get a credit, basically, and just spread the word about Drum Stem Club to other people. It's basically something that I thought about from when I was a kid. Growing up, I didn't have a lot, and as in our family, we had lots in like love and support and amazingness. Like, my family are incredible. But in terms of monetary, not so much. So I just thought about what I would really have benefited from as a kid growing up, trying to make it as a professional musician, what would really have helped me. And this is my version of that for musicians that are coming up. So I would have loved like tracks to play to, like whether it was just like a bass player jamming or whatever. I used to play along to music, but to have music without drums would be amazing. So this is my version of that. For any musicians that want to just play along, practice, record to, or yeah, if you want to do a full-on production, if you want to practice production and mixing drums and, using compressors and doing all that fun stuff and EQing stuff, then that's for you. So drumstemclub.com. Go there, be square. Or be square, don't be square. Ali says, I'm sure I missed this, so apologies for asking for you to repeat, but what camera are you using now for these lives? I don't think I did say, actually, Ali. I think I'm being silly. So this is a Sony ZV-1. See, I'm so not about the gear. I have no idea what I'm using. I know I like it. So it's a new version of this old RX 100 that's geared more towards blogs and vlogs and speaking to camera, basically. So Zal says, love my Canon DSL, but bulky, lol. Yeah, that's the other thing. Cameras can be very bulky, because that's the other thing with a GoPro. Chuck it in your bag. You can take that with you on checked luggage. That's for sure. That would work. Ian Frames here. Hello, Ian. Hey, got any live gigs lined up in the near future? No. My next live gig that I'm aware of is in March. and I'm pretty sure it's in Butlins, but I'm happy with that because I'm in the studio now. I haven't had a studio for 5 months. I'm back here. I'm putting my roots back down in here and just, you know, having some semblance of like a routine. And I get to do things like this. Like as soon as I start doing live gigs, routines go out the window for me because, you know, it could be a gig at the other end of the country and it's just like that will take out not just the day of the gig, but the day after the gig and then energy levels and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just enjoying sort of doing all the stuff in the studio. Oh, right. Matthew says, no, that was a joke. It is Dean Street I'm playing. Oh, Matthew. Well, you got me. I am the most gullible person you'll ever meet, though. I will say that. But equally, you definitely got me. So, Dean Street. Simone says, Emily, what was your first major live gig and what was the experience? Were you nervous? Okay, first major live gig. This is going to sound insane. So, what I consider my first ever kind of like named gig, I'm doing this, I'm a professional drummer, here we go, I'm there, was in 2008. It was with a band called The Hours, who were a 7-piece sort of indie pop rock kind of band, sort of a bit like, they always liken themselves to Elbow a little bit, I think. Really good fun. Anyway, the first gig we ever did, this is going to sound crazy, was in New York. It was at Sotheby's, which is a really posh auction house. It was as part of, you know, Bono's charity Red. It was part of one of his Red charity auction nights, and we were the entertainment. So, yeah, that was my first sort of proper live big gig. And here's the kicker. Got off stage, we'd done a set, we'd learnt a couple of Beatles tunes for the encore, and I didn't really know why. I was just like, whatever, I'm new here, like, whatever you say, I'll do it, like, it's fine. Went back on stage, started playing, and then Bono gets up and just starts playing and singing with us, and came over and was hitting my drums, and I was like, that's Bono, that's crazy. So yeah, that was my first ever professional sort of gig. And was I nervous? Honestly, I don't remember. I don't think I was, which I know is rubbish. I wish I was. But I learned very early on that I didn't like the feeling of feeling nervous because what it represented to me was that I didn't feel prepared. And from that moment on, and that was when I was 11, I'm too extreme. But when I was 11, I remember going to play my first ever gig. I was walking to the stage and I felt physically sick. And I have a bit of a vomiting phobia. So I was like, right, never want to feel like that again. So I made sure, like, I worked out why I was feeling like that. I just didn't feel prepared. So I made sure that everything that I went into, I felt so prepared that there's no way I could be nervous. But consequently, what that means is that I get to really, truly enjoy everything that I do and be in the moment because I'm not worried about anything. So I don't remember feeling nervous. I remember feeling like this is the most surreal thing that has ever happened to anyone, and this is the first gig. Madder things happened with that band. It was an amazing, amazing band, an amazing time to be in that band. But yeah, anyway, so that was my first ever live big gig, I suppose. Zalster says, I was hoping Em would have joined Hojo down in Cancun last week. Yes, Zalster, I saw your your video of Hojo. Yeah, it looked like all of that time was amazing. So there's been a big 80s festival going on in Cancun, and Michael was there, and in fact it was on one of these festivals that we met. And Zalster is just lovely, wonderful human. Ian says, thanks for the update. I get it 100%. When you're in the zone, it's really cool. I've been using some STEM club stuff, but I'm defo gonna tap you up for a proper project. Easy drummer ain't Emily Dede. Well, I've got to say, Ian, what a wonderful note to leave this live stream on. And yes, please do get in touch when you need some drums. You know where I am. But thank you everyone for being here. I really hope that, you know, this inspires you to do some photos and maybe even some videos and all that other sort of stuff. Tag me when you do. I want to see what you create, because I feel like you're going to be really surprised and like in a good way. I think you're going to pleasantly surprise yourself and actually might enjoy it even, maybe just a little bit, maybe. I know I do, for sure. Quickly, Simone says, have you heard of the Japanese drummer called Nyango Star? Always makes me laugh. No, I haven't, but I'll have to go and look them up right now. My favourite Japanese drummer is Akira Jimbo, because he is the first ever drum clinic I went to when I was 14. It wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be Omar Hakim was the first drum clinic when I was about 12 or 13, but the venue wouldn't let me in. How sad. But anyway, lovely to see you all. And again, if you want to be part of this live, or if you want to ask any questions, go to emilyslive.com, sign up, ask questions, join us. You'll get a watch link, all the good stuff. But it's been lovely seeing you all. Thank you for the loveliest conversation. It's always a wonderful way to start my week doing these with you. But have a lovely week, and I guess I will catch you next time for another subject. Who knows what it will be. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
And Emily is love. Ooh yeah, Emily is love.